It was 5:27 a.m. The sky was still grey, and a soft breeze danced through the flowers in Elizabeth's front garden. The neighbourhood was quiet, peaceful, just like every other morning. Until the scream. Marla, who lived across the street, jolted awake. She leaned out her bedroom window and scanned the street. That's when she saw it. A tiny red shape, moving slightly among the flowers in Elizabeth's yard, wrapped in a red knitted blanket. A baby. Marla shouted to her husband, "Harry, wake up! There's a baby in Elizabeth's yard." He rubbed his eyes and peered out the window. That can't be. Elizabeth lives alone, always has. Moments later, they both rushed out of their home. The cold morning air bit at their faces as they crossed the street. Elizabeth opened her front door just as they arrived. Marla breathless. "Elizabeth, this baby, is it yours?" Elizabeth stepped out onto the porch and looked down. There, nestled in the dew-covered grass, lay a baby with wide blue eyes and flushed cheeks. It had stopped crying. Instead, it looked directly at Elizabeth and, in a voice barely more than a breath, whispered, "Elizabeth." An ambulance was called, the police too. The baby was taken to the hospital for examination, but the mystery only deepened. There were no footprints, no fingerprints, no note, no witnesses, no surveillance footage. Detective Talia Morrison wrote in her report, "Infant appears placed, not abandoned, no signs of distress, purposefully left at this address, possible connection to the homeowner." Elizabeth, in her statement, said only this: "I've never seen that baby before, but the way it looked at me felt familiar." That evening, Elizabeth went to the bookshelf in her living room. She reached for a dusty old box on the top shelf. Inside were faded photographs. One slipped out. A black and white image from 1983. A young Elizabeth holding a newborn. Next to her, a woman whose face she couldn't place. Then she noticed something. The infant in the photo wore a small silver bracelet. She leaned closer. EH. The exact same bracelet. The baby was wearing that morning. The next day, Elizabeth visited the hospital. The baby, they said, was healthy, no signs of malnutrition or neglect. But the bracelet? That raised questions. Dr. Sharma, the pediatrician, said, "This model of bracelet is extremely rare. Custom-made in the early 80s. It's almost unheard of today." Elizabeth felt her throat tighten. Could this baby somehow be connected to her? To something she thought she'd buried forever? At home, she unlocked the cedar trunk beneath her bed. Inside was a sealed envelope, yellowed with time. On the front, "If she ever returns." With trembling fingers, she opened it. "Dear Elizabeth, I'm writing this because I could never say it aloud."
In 1983, a baby was brought to our hospital. The mother disappeared after giving birth.
You were a volunteer nurse at the time, and you cared for her, but then Child Services relocated the infant. You never knew. That baby was yours? The tears came before she finished reading. She remembered now. Whispers in the hallway, her parents' rejection, the pressure, the shame, and finally the silence. Elizabeth contacted social services. "I want a DNA test," she said. The entire neighbourhood buzzed with rumours. Was the baby left for her? Could it really be her grandchild? Weeks passed. Then the results came. 99.8% match. The baby, named Mira, was her biological granddaughter. A woman came forward shortly after. Her name was Sierra, Elizabeth's daughter. She had grown up in foster care, tried to trace her roots for years. Eventually, she found out about Elizabeth, but too late to reunite. Now, Sierra was terminally ill, and she had left her daughter where she believed she would be safe. "Mom, I never stopped looking for you. They told me you abandoned me, but now I know you didn't. I'm leaving Mira with you because she deserves a chance, a real family, and you deserve to be a mother again." Months passed. Elizabeth no longer woke to silence. Little Mira filled the house with giggles and cries and tiny footsteps. The red blanket remained folded on a chair near the window. Every morning, at the same time, Mira would walk to the window and look out, quietly, as if waiting for someone or something. Elizabeth didn't ask who, she just smiled, because for the first time in decades, she wasn't alone. From across the street, Marla looked out her window. She watched as Elizabeth and Mira played in the garden, surrounded by sunflowers. She smiled to herself and whispered, "She's not alone anymore. None of us are."
The end.